Oh, that's great. It says an error occurred.
Right.
Let's hit record again.
Welcome to the podcast, Badass Mother Hustler, where the grit, stress, and the beauty of motherhood and entrepreneurship meet. We'll share the realities and stories of what it takes to make it all work and still be a badass mother. Now here's your host, Maddie Yaka.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode. Today, we are chatting with badass mother hustler Jennifer Geneve, and she is the business owner of LaVigne Natural Skincare and the badass mother to two children, age 13 and 11. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so happy to have you on. Thanks for taking time out of your day. You're a busy lady.
I am. I decided to hang out here at the house today to talk to you, but I'll be heading right to the office after this.
So, do you typically go to the office 5 days a week?
Yes, I do.
How
I'm
far?
pretty lucky that I can actually during the school year I somewhat work school hours, and it's. You were about to say not how far is it? It's not too far of a drive, like 15 minutes.
That's great. So do your kids just get on the bus, like you see them to the bus and then you get to the office?
No, it's a bit different here. I'm in the suburbs of Vancouver in Canada, and I mean, I'm sure a lot of kids have the privilege to be able to just walk to school, but our kids are in French immersion and they're only every so many schools. And so they're in a position where I drive them about 10 minutes to school.
Okay, and then you head on to the office.
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's about 10 more minutes to the office from there. So I think that's pretty lucky in terms of a commute.
Yeah, that's amazing. I know some people that drive like an hour and then when there's traffic, it's longer.
Yeah. I count that in my moments of gratitude for sure.
Yeah. So tell everyone a little bit about yourself and your family and what your hobbies are.
Sure. Well, first of all, I was going to say in terms of business, LaVigne Natural Skincare is where I work most of my daily work week. I also help out in my husband's business, but I'll touch on that later. So LaVigne is a company that my mom and I run together. She's actually the owner and founder, and she started the company in 2003. We're actually celebrating 21 years this week, so it's a pretty exciting time that you and I are connecting. So yeah, my mom was running the company for about 3-4 years while I was overseas living with my now husband. I came back to Canada and ended up seeing if she wanted a hand. She seemed very busy in the many facets of running a business, building a brand, and I thought I would give her a hand for a little bit. And that was, I guess, over 16 years ago. So that is what my main job and what I do with my work week. I have two kids. Dave and I have two kids, a daughter who's 13, a son who's 11. And so all the things going on with them during the week. My husband also has a renovations business and a cabinet, like a custom cabinet company that's his main work. And when I say I help out with that, like I do the sort of the admin side and admin support and business controller type of stuff with that.
That is so funny because I've said before that like my husband has a business too, and I kind of help with that, with the admin stuff. And just recently he was like, "Oh, like, do you want to help me with the social media for my business?" And I was like, "I was waiting for you to ask that."
Yes, I mean, yeah, we all have our talents, right? And I think when it comes to focusing on what those are and our passions, I think it's great that my husband can do the work that he loves doing, and I try to take off the pieces that he doesn't love doing. Don't we all wish we had someone like that, probably in every facet of life?
Oh yeah. So why don't you take everyone back to the very, very beginning? Where were you living overseas and how exactly did you get into having a business with your mom?
The company started sort of actually just as I met my husband. My mom started with one product. My parents had been living in Mexico. My dad works in construction and was building a building in near Puerto Vallarta, and Anyway, they were there living there for a few months, and my mom came across an ingredient that is amazing, an indigenous ingredient that is known in Mexico sort of fondly as like a skin miracle or a skin, like they call it the skin tree. It's called Tepescoite. And anyway, she got to talking to the locals about it, asked a few people, and again, people talked about it as like a skin miracle. When the construction stuff in Mexico finished up for my parents, my mom came back here and started really thinking again about this ingredient and wanting to do something with it. And initially, she thought that she would be importing like a whole product or something from there, and ended up just bringing the raw ingredient and starting a skincare line based out of like produced here in Vancouver in our good manufacturing practices facility. So she started with, I think, one product. It went to about 3 products, like our vitamin C serum was the second. Sorry, the Mayan Magic Balm was the first product, and then vitamin C, and I think our advanced firming cream. And I mean, it went from there. You should add a cleanser, and you should have a body lotion, and things go on. And we have over 20 products. We also have a men's line as well now, and we have a scalp and hair product as well. So it has grown to many products over the years, but it really started with one product based on one ingredient, and now all of those contain a number of ancient ingredients from around the world, and also combined with beautiful scientific ingredients as well.
How do you go from one product to multiple products? Is it like consumer feedback, or did you guys hire someone that helped build it out, or how does that work?
Oh man, well, I think we would need my mom Linda here for that. I
Oh,
think that by the time that I came into the company, so I was living in Perth, Australia with Dave in 2004, 5, and 6, and we came back here and got married, and still didn't know I was going to, probably until like the week or month that we decided to do this. There wasn't like a long plan for me to join the business. I'm not sure I just was ready to start something new when I got back here. And so I feel like the company, I think there might have been maybe like 7 to 8 products or so. And then to take it to what you're asking, we have asked in brand surveys over the years, what's your favorite product, and what do you wish that we had? What do you wish to see from us? And actually, that's how the scalp product was born. So our cream, people are using it for all sorts of like skin dryness problems, concerns, discomfort, all kinds of things, and the reviews. You have to look up the reviews on Mayan Magic Balm. It's pretty phenomenal. And so we had people say, I wish you would make like a shampoo or something like that with our key ingredients in it. And Linda's feeling was really like that it would be the most effective if it was something that you left on, not that you like wash your hair and rinse it out. And so that's how the scalp product ended up being born. It was kind of as a concept of being a sprayable Mayan Magic Balm, which is our number one seller. So that's how one of the new products was born. We also have deodorants, and that's not our main business, but that also came from customer feedback. People wanted to add that from our brand. They wanted to see a deodorant to use. Quite a few different ways, but a lot of times it's been customer feedback. Having said that, Linda's also, she's pretty great at seeing what's out there in terms of trends and what people are looking at and what's effective. And so I feel like she has an ear for that as well. So when I'm saying that, I'm thinking of this morning, I opened our email, actually, not email, Instagram, and there's a Cert Clean post from the Clean Beauty Awards, and our Bakuchiol overnight mask won, I think it was second place in the best mask category for the Clean Beauty Awards this year.
wow.
And so their post today was highlighting all the masks that were finalists, and ours was the first picture in the carousel on Instagram. And that product was actually one that, honestly, she came up with that and launched it, I feel like a good year or so before you started to see them all around. Now, bakuchiol is an ingredient that it is really starting to get more known as a plant-based, safer, gentler alternative to using retinol on the skin. And this mask is killer. And it's perfect for people who are not looking for like a really intricate and tons of steps in their routine. You literally put on this overnight mask. Me too.
That would be
Um,
me.
you put it on, it goes on like a moisturizer, you rub it all in, you go to sleep, and it does the work while you're sleeping. It is amazing. And so,
It
yeah, to get that recognition this year.
That is awesome. Yeah, it's really funny because I am 34 and I saw um a holistic facial person,
Okay.
and she was telling me, "Oh, so what is your like facial routine?" And I was like, nothing. Like I wash my face with soap when I'm in the shower." And she's like, "Okay, well, we're going to change that." Like you should have a routine. And I was like, "I don't want something that's all crazy. Like, just keep it
Yeah.
simple."
Yeah, I think that when we think about even the term like a facial routine or regime, I think people who are into a more basic self-care routine get a little freaked out that, are you going to give me a 7-step thing that I'm maybe going to do for the first 2 days and then push it to the side? I don't think it has to be that complicated. I'm not that complicated in my routine. Like I love our liminal resilience facial oil. It leaves a beautiful glow on the skin. I love putting a few dabs on the face sometimes. Yes, as my moisturizer, but sometimes just during the day, when you just could use a little pick me up and not feeling so bright and glowy. And this is a great product for that. Yeah, I do like to keep it simple myself.
Keeping it simple as an entrepreneur is important because there's so many other things that we deal with.
There
What
are.
what is it like to work with your mother? Do you guys both have like 2 separate tasks in the business? Like you
Hmm.
split things that you do? Can you explain a little bit what it's like?
Yeah, I think it's a really like a lucky balance. I I think it's pretty neat that sometimes when we need to, like if we have to venture a guess or an estimate about how we're going to handle something, we often will come up with the same answer on the fly, and it even gets us. We'll kind of look at each other and be like, "Wow, okay, like that was neat." On the other side of it, though, I do believe we each have our own sort of special talents. We balance each other out. I've said this over and over to others talking about our business and how we manage it. She is great with like innovation, new things, novelty, trends. She's really always been like that. Like my whole life, I've watched my mom try new things. She's been a lifelong learner. It's pretty awesome and awesome to grow up under somebody like that. I feel like can be like cautious and analytical, and I like to like risk assess. And I don't think like it's not fair to say that I'm like scared of doing things or anything like that. It's not that. It's just like I think I need to know more information. And so I feel like that's a beautiful balance when you're working in business together and one person is much more geared toward, like what I was saying, innovation, new ideas, thinking about the future, and another person is a researcher and wanting to check things out and analyze. So it's I like I say, it's a pretty lucky balance, I think.
It's funny because they say opposites attract, like, when you're getting married or dating, but I
Yeah.
also think that it's true when it comes to business, and you just described it, and that's how it is with my sister and I. Everyone knows that we're yin and yang.
Okay.
We complement each other. We're 2 totally different, like, I think this way, she thinks that way, but it meshes well together, and that's what it sounds like with your mom.
And did I see, did you do the same career before? Did I dream that up, or before you
So
got into what you're doing now?
So this podcast is just kind of like a passion project, but I'm in real estate with my sister.
Yeah,
I have 6 sisters. Yes, there's 8 of us. 1 brother, 7 girls, 6 sisters. So
that's a big
I'm in,
family.
yeah, business with one of my sisters.
I love it. And you feel that balance too, that you like that you each sort of bring different things to the table?
Yes, it's amazing.
Yeah.
We are able to vent to one another. We bring different things to the table. Like I'm more social media savvy. She's better with handling other things like negotiations. That's
Yeah.
her specialty.
It's good. It's really good to have that and each have your contribution in that way. I love that.
Do you ever find that with your mother and being in business with her that your business stuff sometimes bleeds into family time? Like you'll be out to a family dinner and you end up accidentally talking about business?
Good question. I think that we're better than ever at keeping it at bay. I would say sometime quite a few years ago, maybe 10 years ago, I can think of a time where somehow almost every family dinner we would end up like discussing an issue of some kind, or just you think you're going to talk about something for a second and it ends up 20 minutes, and then there's eight of us or something sitting there, and now we're sort of pulling the conversation to this thing that doesn't involve anybody else. And we eventually we got away from it. And I think, I mean, we already were getting away from it, but also I have found in the past few years in terms of things that I've changed in my self-care is I really try not to think about business when I'm not at work. it, it's not a perfect fit. It's not like I achieve that 100% of the time, but I do try not to think about it, to the point that one thing that I do is, like, if I think of something, and I'm worried about remembering it for the next day, say Saturday night, 10 o'clock, we're watching a movie or something pops into my head, and I will just open my iPhone, make a calendar reminder for like Monday at 9, and put it in there and shut it. And I just try not to think about it, because I do think an important thing as entrepreneurs is to make family time be family time, and have business time as business time. It's not always
That
perfect, but
that's something that I have started to implement since my sister and business partner has been out on maternity. It just
mm,
like clicked in me because so much was on top of me and having two kids. And I just needed to not be doing business
mhm.
24/7. So in the past month and a half, I've been doing exactly what you said. Like someone texted me and was asking questions about selling their house. And I said, yeah, like I have a seller's guide. And typically I would have been like, let me find my computer and get this email to you right away.
Mhm.
And I said, hey, like Monday, I'll just email you the seller's guide. And I put a reminder in my phone because some stuff doesn't have to be done right away. And that just doing that has started to take more stress off.
I totally agree with you. I think that it's very tempting, though, when you probably knew that that task would just take you just a few minutes. It's tempting to just stop what you're doing and do it right there, but somehow something else is going to pull you in. You go to get that guide, you're going to see something else, you'll see an email, and then it just goes and goes, and now you've kind of left where you were at. We all do that. You open your phone and go to look for one thing, and you end up in a different app or a different something, or get a notification. Then you can't actually even remember what you opened it for in the first place. But yeah, that's a perfect example. What you're saying, that task maybe would have taken a few minutes, but it pulls you away from what you're doing. Also, you reminded me of something with my husband. In his business, people, they tend to think about renovations on the weekend, right? If they're out, they might even be planning a renovation. They might go shopping for appliances or whatever. They're thinking about the work he's going to do for them often on a Saturday and a Sunday. And he gets a lot of messages, honestly, from clients at like 9 o'clock Sunday night, 7 o'clock Saturday. Like, it's happens a lot, and especially in texts and things too. And he's just had to find a really nice way to say, "Hi, thanks for reaching out. I'm just like enjoying family time over the weekend, but I will get back to you on Monday." And I've just had to say it's the nature of his type of client. They're thinking about the work he does, not on Monday at 9 when they're at work. They're thinking about it on their weekend and in their free time, usually.
When they're at their house and they're relaxing and they're envisioning what they want done, they're like, "Let me just shoot off a text."
100%. You know how many cabinet jobs have been like taking a big blank wall in like a great room or something and turning it into the perfect custom wall with just what that family needs. It might have a hidden desk, or they have a collection of something, whatever it might be. So yes, there's a good chance they're sitting in the evening on their couch looking at this blank slate and thinking. I said, don't worry, let them offload their ideas to you in the evening, and you just get back to them on the next business day. It's about all you can do.
I think that this year I'm starting to see a turn of, instead of answering the minute it happens, entrepreneurs are giving themselves boundaries and saying, "I will get to you in normal work hours."
Mhm. It's difficult though. I have, for me, a very kind of helping nature. If I see an opportunity to, I will literally be, I don't know, on Facebook in a business group, see somebody ask a question, think that I saw the answer, I'll go find the answer, I'll refer a friend or whatever. Like I just feel like that's a big part of me is I love being a connector and a helper. Maybe sometimes to a fault, like maybe sometimes I should just mind my own business and take care of my own stuff, but that's something I love to do. So it can be really tempting to drop what I'm doing and help somebody out when I see the chance. When it's we're trying to show the kids too. When something is something that comes easy to you, and for an example, I will say like a 1 or 2 out of a 10 effort for you, and you know it's going to make like a 10 out of 10 impact on somebody because it was so hard for them. You share your knowledge, you give your thing. If it's an easy go, like you always you use that to help people when you can, when it's appropriate anyway.
That is awesome, and that's great examples to be sharing. And I feel you in the fact that sometimes I want to continue to help or create something new, but then it's just putting more stuff on my plate, even though I don't mean to, and then it becomes very overwhelming. What has your self care journey been like as an entrepreneur mom?
I have so many answers for that. Um, I feel compelled to share right now that I did find a period of about, it was probably about 5 years ago now, where I found a real frustration within myself, and I was able to, through some self work and care, to figure out that I was pretty happy with the type of like wife and mom and daughter, sister, friend, everything that I was being, but I didn't like something like professionally. And it's not about my job role either. It's about, I guess, like productivity. And I just started really realizing there were a bunch of things I wanted to do and be. And I just, at the time, I didn't understand how you can want things but not be doing anything about it. I don't have a psychology degree, so that's about the extent of all I can tell you is I was living it. Um, and I ended up taking a long period of really looking at myself and taking care of myself. And it ended up being like a exercise streak that ended up being quite a big thing back in, I think it was 2021, 2020 during the pandemic. I had been exercising at home when all the gyms were closed and all of that. And I started doing a hike up a mountain that's close by here. It's sort of known as a bit of a grind. It's called the Crunch, and it's quite intense. There's about 450 stairs, and then it carries on from there about 20 minutes. And I started doing it on the weekends, and then I started doing it every day. And after about 2 weeks, I came up with this idea. I was listening to a podcast, which is something that I do for like personal development. I listen to a lot of business podcasts and health ones, and it was talking about how to achieve goals and setting a clear goal, writing it down, and sharing it with someone. And so I just made this goal that felt crazy at the time to do this hike 50 days in a row. I thought 50 seemed like a huge number. And I did it, and it felt amazing. And on that day, my daughter, who was about would she be about 9 at the time, 9, 10 years old, and she says, "You're halfway to 100." Oh, thanks. I thought 50 was really great. You're halfway to 100, Mom. Anyway, long story short, 100 became 200, 300, 500, and like 2.5 years later, I did this hike like a thousand times in like 1,010 days. I missed a couple days when we traveled to Perth to visit and stuff like that, lost in transit and whatever. Anyway, it just kept going, and it ended up being like an amazing change to my personal health, my drive, like your mental health, all the podcasts that I listened to while I was exercising, and a lot of new habits that I brought into my life. One of the coolest simple thoughts that I picked up from, is it Atomic Habits, I think is the author. He says that every action you take is a vote for your future self, the self that you want to be. And I think I just kept going at like one habit at a time, and until I started to see my life take the shape of what seemed so far away. I wanted to read more. I wanted to be more fit, eat better. I stopped drinking alcohol. Like that was almost 5 years now, and just so much good came from small habits, kind of one at a time. But a big piece of it was that crazy fitness streak. I think back now, it ended about a year ago, 9 months ago or something. I can't even think right now. But I ended up throwing it in for going to the gym and lifting weights, and I'm loving that now.
First of all, how long is that hike? Like an
Uh,
hour or 2 hours?
I would get it done in an hour. When it first started, somebody who had got me onto doing it had said, these stairs, it's actually a really great workout, 450 up. And there's 2 sets. So you could do like 450 up, 450 down and do it in a loop. And that's what a lot of people do, just do like a few loops of that. So she had said, I come over, I jog over there, I do 2 loops of this and go home, and that's my lunch hour. And so I started out doing that. Then I started doing the whole first year, I just did 4 sets of these stairs, 450 up, down, 4 times, and went home. And then I figured out after about a year, and also potentially some boredom, that maybe I was fit enough to do the whole hike to the top of the trail and come back. And I just always wanted to keep it within an hour, because that's how much I felt like I could set aside for myself every day. And I did it all kinds of times a day. I did it 6:30 in the morning, 6:30 at night, like in the daytime, on the weekends with girlfriends. My friends started contacting me to work out instead of sitting on patios and stuff like that. So that part was good too.
That is so cool, and, like, entrepreneurs all have that mindset, at least I feel like successful ones do. They stop drinking alcohol, they're into exercising, they're reading, they're listening to podcasts,
Yeah.
writing down goals. Like, behind me, oh, it's opposite, is my vision board, and 2024 is the first time I ever did one. I don't know why the heck I wasn't doing one before. It's just
Yeah.
you're thinking about what you wanna do, but you're not totally grasping it until you're putting it down on paper, making it concrete.
Yes, I find also for me, um, I think that the start, it seems like a lot of people are like this. You think the start is much bigger than it is. So you keep thinking it's not the right day, it's not the right time. I don't have all the stuff. When everything that you listen to with success and in business, and all of these podcasts that I listen to, and probably you do too, it's like, just start. Don't worry about it. And then once you're doing it, you can tweak it. I feel like I was listening to an episode that you had up where somebody referenced Gary Vee. And one of my favorite things I've ever heard him say, so darn simple, is people ask him a lot, I want to get started. Do you think I should do this or this? I can't decide. And he says, it doesn't matter. Just pick one. You will, instead of sitting around wondering which is the right one, you will pick one, and you will more quickly find out if that was the one or not. If it isn't, you can dump it and go to the right thing. But you'll never know if you sit there and go, which one is it? What's going to be the right thing? I wonder. Like, you
Yeah,
just need to
you
start.
just have to do it, you just have to start. So that's when I started this podcast. It was seriously up and running within 6 weeks. I reached out to someone that I knew who had filmed a few episodes of his own podcast and asked him some questions. And he said, my biggest regret was just sitting around thinking about doing it and not doing it. He's like, I waited years to start it. He said, you've got a great idea. Just do it. So I said, all right, what's the best mic? What did you learn from yours? And within 6 weeks, I was filming my first episode. I was not just going to sit around and wait. I'm
Good.
also very impatient.
Good for you. I mean, it does. It's like such a great thing. There's so much to learn through podcasts. I think honestly that they are one of the best things of our time right now.
They are. You can watch them or you can listen to them while you're doing something else. I listen to a bunch of them when I'm driving to and from showings or the office. I know people listen to them when they're folding laundry and stuff like that. And it's just so nice to hear real people's real experiences. I mean, I love reading, but I love listening to people's stories as well.
I love both as well. And I do also love that you can keyword search something. So, literally, if I'm driving to work or I'm thinking about something, a problem I have to solve or something, you can open the podcast, whatever you listen to podcasts on, and keyword search what you're thinking about. And somebody has done an interview about it. So I can literally be driving to work, listening to something that gets my juices flowing about it, and then, start thinking about a solution or some new ideas for a project.
Technology's crazy.
It is.
Keeps getting crazier.
Yes.
What has it been like raising kids while being an entrepreneur?
Hmm. Well, I always say they've grown up being business babies. They've been on many conference call in the car on the way to school where I will like mute my phone and say, this is a time you can't talk, and they know. I've even had like other people's kids in the car. I'm driving an extra kid home from school, and my kids will be like to the one in the middle, like, you got to keep it down right now. Like, they're used to it. They both went on a flight to a trade show from Vancouver to Toronto when they were around 6 months old. Like, they both, and also my daughter, I think her first show was like a public natural product public expo in Vancouver when she was 2 to 3 months old. So they've really grown up around it. They have business ideas. I think I can't wait to see what they actually decide to do. But our son watches what his dad does with creating. He does help a little bit. He gets to go sometimes on the weekend and create some things in the cabinet shop, and that feels exciting to him. Learning how to use tools and stuff like that. We're fairly open with them about like in a manner that they can handle or digest like business problems, because I do believe in not letting everything just be shiny in front of them. I think they need to see you work hard for things, particularly problem solve. I'll be really honest, actually. Right before we started recording today, my kids were standing just on the other side of the camera about 10 minutes before, and I said, I feel like I need an extra few minutes to get my thoughts collected. I don't feel collected, but this is what I think I need to do it, and I need you to go upstairs now. And they did, and they get it. I think it's important, instead of just saying, be quiet, get out of here. Like, that doesn't tell them anything. But when I say I'm human, I feel, I don't know, a bit nervous or a bit scattered right now. And what I think I need is for you to leave so I can collect my thoughts. I feel like that's going to help them in the future to see somebody else go through those type of things. Now, right after they left, the gardeners came and fired up a lawnmower right outside the door about 3 minutes before I called you. So they learned to go with the flow. My daughter has started doing some little business things besides babysitting and stuff like that. She does face painting, and so I think the entrepreneurial spirit is all around them, and we'll see what they end up doing. I'm excited. They each have their own individual talents, and it's fun to see.
I can't wait to see what my children end up doing. Like my 4-year-old already, I'm like, I am very interested to see what you're going to get your hands into when you're older. It'll be a fun surprise. But
Yeah.
like you said, it is really important to just communicate your feelings and lead by example.
Mhm.
Um
It's so
so
important. They if they don't see reality, how will they ever know how to get through it themselves, how to problem solve, how to learn something new, how to have uncomfortable conversations. This is our chance to teach them. I'm not a teacher, but I can be real in front of them within reason, and hopefully it benefits them for the future.
that is so true. Balancing motherhood and entrepreneurship is not always smooth sailing. What do you think has been the most stressful, managing both roles?
Motherhood and business.
Yeah.
Um, Sometimes just the difficulty of needing to shut off work from the brain and enjoy doing family things. Like I said, oh, that's what I try to do. That's what I aim to do is not think about work, but it is really difficult not to think about things that are going on at work when you're at home. It's difficult to shut it off. I think like a lot of people, there's a lot of times I wish that I could do and be all the things at their school or whatever, but I also I'm not going to ever try to do that, and that's okay. Like, I don't think there is balance when people say, "Oh, how do you get balance?" I don't think there is balance. I think that you just need to go with your gut, and if you feel like you need to be more in your kids' activities or like help out more at school for a bit, or if you're feeling like you're not doing enough in that way, then do something about it. And each time I feel like, okay, like I don't have to be there every single day, every single week, but I contributed something this week. I went on a field trip or whatever it was, and that does feel a bit better. I don't have to be there every single time. Sometimes I've had to miss things for my little family that because we've had to go on a trade show trip or something like that. So it's all, I think, just being flexible. Thankfully, I'm not somebody who needs things to be all one way. So being flexible, I think, is key.
I agree. Being flexible is important to being a successful entrepreneur and trying to attain balance. But like you said, there is no such thing as balance. I agree with you.
No, I mean, I'm imagining with what you do in your work as well, right? It involves weekends and everything. You just do the best that you can.
And that is what I do. I do the best that I can, with lots of caffeine. So right now we are going to pivot to our rapid fire 5 and 5. What does your ideal chill day look like?
Chill day. Yesterday was pretty great. Watched a movie with the kids in the evening. We don't always get to do that. We walked around our neighborhood, and we love where we live, and I felt like a certain appreciation for that. It was a beautiful evening. Went for a walk with my husband, watched this movie, had a really good laugh. I mean, if we're around here, we're lucky there's a pool here, which is awesome, so that we can have that time with the kids. Yeah, just feel a lot of gratitude for where we live. It's a beautiful little community outside of Vancouver, and it's wonderful for families. And there's a lot of parks and cool hangouts and breweries and things like that. So I love it here. If we were to go out and do something and chill together, there's a great spot in Vancouver, in North Vancouver, and it's called the Shipyards. And it's like kind of a markety feel. There can be food trucks. There's great restaurants. There's an incredible view of Vancouver. And we've done like my birthday there overnight in a hotel and stuff like that. And it literally, even one night can feel like a little bit of a holiday. So that's a favorite kind of chill
That
spot.
sounds fun, like a little mini vacation just in 24 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sweet. What are you currently reading or listening to?
Um, I've been listening to, I listen to a variety of podcasts. Some of them are health, some of them are business. I do like Andrew Huberman Lab. It's not like the only thing I listen to, but lately I've had an episode of his that I've had on that is Dr. Stacy Sims, and it's all about women's health. I don't know if you know, but Andrew Huberman's podcast episodes are all quite long. They can be like an hour and a half to 2 hours. So I've been listening to this thing for a few days, driving around and stuff like that. But I'm actually on my second listen. It has incredible health information for women, performance, nutrition, all kinds of stuff. So loving that. I'm reading, I almost always have a personal development book on the go. I don't at the moment. I'm reading, about to crack a brand new book from Abby Jimenez. She's a fiction author, and I probably ruined her last name. Anyway, whatever her name is, just read her. I think she's got a book called Yours Truly. They're good stories, and she's a funny writer. So I try to have a mix. I kind of almost always have something kind of serious and something fun going on.
Same here. I'll go back and forth from like a business book to a leisure book, like fiction or historical fiction or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, it's good to have
What
both.
is your favorite app or tool you use as an entrepreneur, a mom, or both?
I'm gonna go back to what I said before. I think probably one of my favorite apps, I guess, is the podcast thing, like Apple Podcasts. Although sometimes if the person's episodes are on YouTube, I do like to watch if I can as well. I just again, I feel like there's so much to learn and know. There's so much at your fingertips through podcasts, so that's probably one of my favorite things.
And what's the song you blast the shit out of if entrepreneur mom life is too much for you that day?
I don't know. You know what? I don't have a big favorite right now, but because I have a 13-year-old daughter, Taylor Swift is life right now. And so sometimes I don't even have a choice. She's like, "Mom, let me put something on. I know this will be good." And it could be anything. Often from the Reputations album, but I take it because I love her. I love her energy. My daughter just gets so fired up and she's so into it, and I enjoy that.
Her energy is good. Yeah. And what is some advice you can give a struggling entrepreneur mom?
My favorite piece of advice is always to connect with others. I think it's really important, especially if you're a solo entrepreneur or even any kind of small business, even if you have employees, a small team of any kind. I think leading a business can, if you don't connect with others, it can feel lonely or problems can feel at times unsolvable. I really recommend that you try to connect with others and have some real conversations. And if you need help, ask people for help. I've literally reached out on LinkedIn to people who I can see probably have the skills in solving things that I'm dealing with, and I've sent like direct messages to strangers and said, this is what I have a question about. I was wondering if you'd be willing to talk to me. And I've made lasting connections that way. I think it's so important to understand that other people have challenges too. And if we all keep it to ourselves, then we all think that we must be the only ones going through it, and you're not. So it's really important to connect with others. And I mean, you don't have to show everything going on in your life. It's not. It's not really about that. I think Brene Brown calls that floodlighting. You don't have to like share everything, but you can share enough and hear enough in other people's challenges and stories that will probably help you through.
And it never hurts to ask
Hmm.
for anything.
It's true.
Well, I can't believe that we've chatted for almost 45 minutes already. It flew by.
It did.
If anyone wanted to reach out to you because they had questions or they wanted to learn more about your business, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Um, Probably through, I think Instagram is probably just the easiest way everybody does. Like the company is at LaVigne Naturals, LaVigne Naturals. I'm also on Instagram at Geneve, Jenn, and my last name, Geneve. So it could be either of those. Feel free to DM me. I'm open.
Awesome.
It
Thank you so much for coming on today. I really enjoyed chatting with you.
was great to talk to you too.
All right, everyone, I'm going to leave you with a quote like always, and that is that dream was planted in your heart for a reason. Until next episode, I'll see you guys later.
Thank you for joining this episode of Badass Mother Hustler. If you loved this episode as much as we did, and it left you feeling inspired and empowered, give us a quick like and subscribe, and we'll invite you back to our next episode. And be sure to share us on your socials and visit our Instagram, Badass Mother Hustler Podcast. We'll see you next time.